Hello there, guys, and it is Mislav on the other side of the screen, and in this Linux tutorial we are going to talk about the su command. So what is the su command? The su command is used to start the shell as another user, most often the super user. Okay, and if you don't specify the user, it is assumed that you want to start the shell as the super user. Okay, and there's a couple of options to this command. I'm just looking at the thing I prepared, because before I'm recording this, I actually prepared this in the written form. And I'm looking at it. I'm basically going to skip most of it, right? I mean, I included it in the article. I'm not sure where the articles are going to be published by the time I'm recording this, but I think that you can look at my blog. I think I should have a blog like my website, so you can look there, or you can look at LinkedIn. I think I'm going to publish these articles on LinkedIn for sure, and most likely my blog. However, I'm not going to cover it here. Why? Because I think that in 99.9% of the cases, you should use super user do, which is sudo. Okay, we covered that command in the last tutorial, previous tutorial. And the reason why is because if you change, so let's say that I type in su and press enter, and now I need to enter my root password. So not password of my user, which is Mislav, but the password of the super user. And I happen to know that password. Wait, okay. So I press enter, and now I am the root user. But here's the problem with this. And notice the difference. So here I have $, here I have the hashtag, or I don't know how else to call it. But notice the difference now. I'm now the root user, and basically any command that I try to execute, I'm not going to get the permission denied error because I am the root user, and I can actually basically alter anything I want to alter. Okay, so a much better way to do modifications to certain files and basically to navigate your way around the Linux file system. And basically we haven't discussed what file system is. I kind of got caught up. But what I want to say is that the best way for you to use the command line is to use it as a regular user. Okay, never do this. And why would you never do this? And if you want to exit, if you accidentally became the super user, you want to exit, just type in exit and press enter. You always want to use sudo instead of su, and then become the root and then navigate around. And the reason is, as I stated previously, is because you can do anything. And that's a good thing if you know what you're doing. But listen, most likely you will mess some things up, right? And it's not going to be that you intend to mess them up. It is going to be that you are going to be careless, or maybe you're at your job and somebody comes to your desk and says, hey, do you want to go grab coffee? And you're like, yeah, sure. And you just kind of look at the command, and it's the rm command, and you're removing something, but you're like, yeah, sure, let me just kind of press enter. And you press enter, and you accidentally delete something very, very important because you were the super user, right? You were root, which is a synonym for the super user. However, if you were a regular user, you would get a permission denied error. Okay, so honestly, I would say use sudo instead of su. Again, the su has a lot of these other options, and I have written them in this long form. One of these is to execute a certain command. So you can type in suc, and then you can type in the command. However, and then close the command in quotes, single quotes, or again, we're going to talk about quotes later on. However, I would encourage you to use sudo instead of the su for the aforementioned reasons. Okay, so thank you for watching. Remember, the su exists, but use the sudo command. And if you're a root user, you can actually switch to some other users. So if I was the root user, I could write SU, and then I could, for example, become a Mislav2 if he existed, or Mislav3 if he existed, or I could become John if he existed. But again, this I haven't used as frequently as sudo. Okay, so sudo I used very, very frequently. SU I almost never used. Okay, so don't focus on this, focus on sudo, focus on the brighter days ahead of us in the next tutorial, and I will talk to you soon.